Hey, Shalom, it's the brother Abad. You're back here once again. Before I get started, like always, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushua, Bahasham, Chachak, Badash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. We're going to go into Proverbs, the 13th chapter. So let's go ahead and start at verse 1. It says, a wise son heareth his father's instruction, but a scorner heareth not rebuke. Yeah, if you have a wise son, he's going to take heed to the things that you try to teach him, the discipline you're going to try to instill within him. All right, the wisdom that you're going to try to impart into him, he's going to take heed to those things. But a rebellious son, which is, a rebellious son he's better off dead. He's no value of you. No, he's no value for you. And you see that with men that come up in this world, young men. They despise their fathers for whatever reason. Their father might have not been in their life as much as their mother, and their mother. This society is a feminine society, so they have that Queen of Heaven worship spirit. Mothers teach their sons to hate their fathers. So they grow up not respecting their father. And the men are very weak in this society too. They don't really know how to be men or lead or put their foot down. And they're domesticated, all right? Men are very domesticated in this type of society, specifically over here in America. There's only so much you can do as a man because the woman can go to the government, bring the government against you. The children can tell the teacher on you, or, call a certain agency on you if you discipline your child, or whatever the case may be. But a wise son is going to hearken unto his father. Us as the Israelites, we're known as Yasha, all the princes of the power. And we have to hearken to our father's word. All right? And the father's word comes through men. All right? The scriptures speak about how we have had fathers according to the flesh that have corrected us. So how much more a spiritual man? All right, that's why we give double honors to the elder apostles, because we believe those men have been endowed with the spirit of Hamashiach Yahushua, the Rachach Badash, the true understanding of these scriptures. All right, when you get that word scorner, let's get scorner. When you go into that word scorner, it says one who disdains or ridicules, a mocker, a scoffer of a religion. So, you have your child mocking you, whether it's to your face or behind your back. Just not respecting, the wisdom and knowledge that you're trying to impart upon them. So, even as us, like I said, of sons of Yasha, we have to make sure we're not rebellious to our power. Verse 2, it says, a man shall eat good by the fruit of his mouth, but the soul of the transgressor shall eat violence. And that's why you see death at an all-time high in America, Babylon. One of the highest murder rates in the world. But it's supposed to be, land of opportunity. And, why? Because it's a lot of sin, man. It's a lot of sin that goes on. A lot of transgressors that are amongst us. So, of course, you're going to have violence in the inner cities, violence amongst the populace of the people, where the majority congregates. It's just, you may have a parade going on, and then some psycho decides to run everybody over in his vehicle. That's the type of shit that happens over here in the land of the valley of shadow of death, right? The land of the land of the dead, Verse 3. It says, he that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life, but he that openeth wide his lips shall have destruction. Yeah, you got to know when to speak, when to hold your tongue, because a lot of times you say something at the wrong time that could cause you, to get put in a bad predicament, man. That's why the scriptures teach us that knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times, because when all hell is out here breaking loose, you don't want to just be speaking about, oh yeah, I'm an Israelite and I believe this and I'm against the government. you're gonna have these radicalized people that don't got wisdom. You can, they against the government, but they lack wisdom, because wisdom comes from the scriptures. They'll be all radicalized and be talking about, I'm against the government, I'm against the government, I'm against the government, I'm against the government, and they're gonna cause themselves to be put in camps and put down. Just like you see with these people with ICE, the shit that's going on now. Motherfuckers showing up where ICE at. Fuck you, ICE, fuck you, ICE. That's not wise, man. And the Edomites think they get brownie points for that. Like, we don't give a fuck that y'all standing up. Because, you seen the Edomite get his head popped. So now y'all want to run to these fucking rallies and protests and scream in front of ICE. Fuck ICE, fuck ICE. And what the fuck? That's not wisdom, Okay, verse 4 says, the soul of a sluggard desireth and have nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. And that goes with anything, man. It's simple. If you don't work, you don't eat. You may have a hard job. Like me, I have a very, very taxing job on the body and the mind. Okay, but the benefit of that is once you get paid, enough to take care of what the things you got to take care of. All right? So not being a sluggard and getting up in the morning, all right, feeling all, weak and so exhausted, but you still get up and clock in, because if you don't clock in at this job, you're going to be down and out. Well, it's like that in the truth. You have to, if you want to be a part of the Lord's labor, you have to work. You can't be sluggish. You got to put yourself, you got to make sure you're putting your best foot forward daily, man. Even when you're tired. Because like I just used the analogy, these jobs that we work, these physical carnal jobs, we get up, we wake up early in the morning, fighting traffic, sleep still in your eye, to work these carnal jobs. So you can't say I'm too tired, I can't, serve the Lord or do something, for the ministry. You gotta do it anyways, man. You gotta do it anyways. Verse 5, it says, a righteous man, and the second part of that scripture says, the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. Yeah, so you want the kingdom, don't you? So if you want the kingdom, you gotta work for it, man. It's simple. Verse 5, it says, a righteous man hateth lying, but a wicked man is loathsome and cometh to shame. All right? Yeah, you can't trust somebody that's always telling you lies, man. They can't be trusted. All right? They can't be held accountable for nothing. All right? You don't want to be around nobody like that. Verse 6, it says, righteousness keepeth him that is upright in the way, but wickedness overthroweth the sinner. Yeah, you call yourself, having 1 foot in the world. Shit, most people 2 feet in the world. Delving into things that they know is wicked. Well, you gonna get overthrown by that, man. All right, having these fucking sex orgies and gangbangs and all manners of straight, debauchery. You're gonna get overthrown by that, man. You're corrupting your spirit, which means you're corrupting your mind. All right, for those that don't know what that means, and you're not gonna ever find comfort like that. You're gonna always be uneasy. That's why you see a lot of these people on drugs. All right, always irrational. Because they've done things in the flesh that is eating their spirit up. Verse 7, it says, there is that maketh himself rich, yet have nothing. There is that maketh himself poor, yet have great riches. This is a heavy verse, because this applies to us. We're making ourselves rich because we're storing our treasures up in heaven. Spiritual gains. A very, very loaded spiritual bank account. But to the carnal eye, we have nothing. We very, very basic individuals within the society, living on the poverty line. All right. Miss one paycheck, your ass is, you assed out. All right. But there is one that maketh himself poor, yet have great riches, and that's these people with a lot of money, a lot of carnal possessions, but spiritually they have zero. They have nothing. They haven't put nothing towards their Creator and His kingdom and His desire for man. So when the Lord comes back to set up His kingdom, they're not going to reap anything. They're not going to receive anything. All right. So they're going to be poor compared to those that were plowing and, sowing towards, the kingdom. Verse 8, it says, the ransom of a man's life are his riches, but the poor have not rebuke. Yeah, where you set your heart, where you set your mind, there shall your heart also be. Seek ye first the kingdom, and the rest of these things shall follow. All right. Verse 9, the light of the righteous rejoiceth, but the lamp of the wicked shall be put out. All right. And we're going to see that, these wicked people that boast in, their appearance or boast in their possessions, they seem to be bright amongst, the average citizen or average people. Guess what? You're going to be put out soon enough. All right. Because a lot of these people that have these carnal riches, they're doing a lot of vile acts, and the scriptures tell you that the eyes of the Lord are 10 times brighter than the sun. So you're using all your Federal Reserve notes, your money, to fulfill your wild lusts, passions, and desires. And the Lord does not like that. He does not want you to be out here just committing all type of sins just because you have the leeway or the resources or the money to do it. Verse 10, only by pride cometh contention, but with the well of eyes is wisdom. Yeah, a wise man is going to understand, when he's analyzing a situation or when he's put into a situation, to not use his ego or pride to discern what he's going to do or how he should react. All right. The average individual goes by how they're feeling, their emotions, their pride, their ego, on how they should act. How would this affect my image? That's how they think. And if it will affect their image in a negative way, if they perceive to be uncomfortable, they will lash out because of that. Verse 11, it says, wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase. All right. Yeah, you're going to reap the fruit of your hands. The Lord is not an unjust power. Verse 12, you should reap what you should sow. Verse 12, hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. And that's what we have to wait for. We're prisoners of hope. We have to hold on. We have to endure to the end, no matter how long it seems like it's taken in the flesh for the Lord to come back. We got to hold fast to that which we have. We didn't come into this thing, with a expiration date or a date set of, if the Lord don't come back at this time, I'm out. But a lot of guys have that same mindset that these guys from the old school had with the year 2000. They just don't say it openly. If the Lord don't come back in 5-6 years, man, I'm going back into the world. I'm going to get something shaking in the world. That's how a lot of these guys think. And really, you're an Israelite. That's your nationality. So you're an Israelite you're an Israelite to death. If you die, you die. But you're an Israelite. That shit don't change. Anyways, verse 13. Whoso despiseth the word shall be destroyed, but he that feareth the commandment shall be rewarded. And that's what we have to continue to remember. Hold fast to what we have so we can get a crown, get rulership, get immortality, get peace. All right? And get delivered out of this wicked ass place, man. Oppressive ass place. Downtrodden, or we're downtrodden and just constantly beat down. The scriptures say Esau is wearing out the saints with his, this wicked rulership. We want to be delivered. Verse 14, the law of the wise is as a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death. Yeah, you want to, not taste death, and want to live life and have peace and comfort. And, you might not necessarily be rich, as far as carnally possessions, but you're going to have peace and comfort, man, by knowing these scriptures, knowing this wisdom, knowing who your creator is and knowing your purpose, knowing what's coming, knowing why The things that have happened in history have happened. That brings a great peace, a great sense of comfort, man, that the average individual doesn't have. They don't know what's going on and why things are happening the way they're happening. They don't understand the racial tensions over the hundreds of years. They don't understand the civil unrest, the rumors of wars. They don't understand the plagues. They don't understand all these things and why it's happening. But we do. Verse 15, it said, good understanding giveth favor, but the way of the transgressor is hard. Every prudent man dealeth with knowledge, but a fool layeth open his folly. Let's get the word prudent. Wise, discerning. Yeah, so basically discernment, having discernment, man. Truth is supposed to give you discernment. Verse 7, a wicked messenger falleth into mischief, but a faithful ambassador is health. And we are ambassadors, messengers, sent from Hamashiach Yahushua. All right. Now, an ambassador can be cast off if he doesn't continue to do his job properly. Right now, we have the message. Right now, we're spreading the message, the gospel, teaching the word. But we can be cast off at any moment if the Lord deems us not, productive, or if he has no use of us anymore. Verse 18: poverty and shame shall be to him that refuseth instruction, but he that regardeth reproof shall be honored. So, especially if you know that you went off or you did something wrong, or you're supposed to be doing something, you're not doing it, and you get rebuked, but just because it rubs you the wrong way, you don't want to accept it. The Lord doesn't deal with individuals like that, because it goes back to you using your pride and ego to say how you're going to deal with a certain situation. All right? Or how you're going to handle a situation, or how you're going to let it affect you. Oh, this affected my pride, my ego. Fuck that. I'm going to dwell on this, Lord ain't looking for individuals like that. Verse 19. The desire accomplished is sweet to the soul, but it is an abomination to fools to depart from evil. Yeah, so if you don't want to depart from evil, you a fool. So the scriptures tell us these people that don't want to depart from evil, they look at it as an abomination. Well, you a fucking fool, because the recompense from your reward is very, very heavy. All right? Not only are you going to receive death, all right, but you're going to lose out in the kingdom. Even if you're Israelite, yeah, you're going to get the kingdom and be ruling over other nations. But you're going to see the difference between you and the rest of the elect. All right? You're going to be able to know that difference. Verse 20, he that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. There you go. So these dudes rolling in these posses, these gangs, these crews, just to look like they some cool guy. But all of y'all is fucking wicked. None of y'all are bound by any moral codes. None of y'all go off of the statutes and commandments of the Creator, the scriptures, the word. But y'all all gather together. Ain't nothing, man. That's why you're going to have rampant adultery, rampant murder, rampant theft, rampant backbiting, and people betraying one another, because they all wicked, but they coming together. So they got their own desires and lusts and wants that they want to accomplish, and they don't really care about each other. Okay? Continuing reading, it says, evil pursueth sinners, but to the righteous, good shall be repaid. So you want to try to be as righteous as possible, meaning cleaning yourself through this word, living by this word as much as possible. All right? Because evil pursueth sinners. So the more you go off, the more evil is going to cling to you. And you don't want evil clinging to you, man. Nobody wants that. So you got to pray to Yahweh Shemel Shah and walk in the ways of Yahweh Shemel Shah and be diligent in the ways of Yahweh Shemel Shah to the best of your ability through the mercy that you've been given from Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah. Verse 22, a good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. And that really goes into us as Yasha Allah. We have an inheritance, man. How Esau passed down shit from generation to generation. Where you think they learned that from? Even the scriptures is an heirloom, a family heirloom that's been passed down from generation to generation to the Israelites. Right? So you can be a nation and get blessed, but if you're not the Israelites, you don't have the inheritance. You don't have access to the inheritance. Verse 23, much food is in the tillage of the poor, but there is destroyed for the want of judgment. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chastiseth him betimes. All right, so the Lord puts you in situations where you are corrected, reproved. That means he loves you. It's hard to understand as the child, but that's why we have the scriptures, so you can know that that's the proper way of doing things. Verse 25, the righteous eateth to the satisfying of his soul, but the belly of the wicked shall want. Yeah, and that goes into, the wicked elite Edomites that run the world. When he thinks he's about to fulfill his enterprise, fill his belly,